Gentlemen, Josh and Yash. How do we get rid of Firefly's note taker? All right, good. Hey, Abhishek.
Really?
Yash. Abhishek, can you hear me?
Yeah. Am I audible?
There, now I can. My speaker was down low. Abhishek, webcam if you got it. And I know you do.
A little difficulty. I need to restart and come back, I guess.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, everyone.
Aditya, good morning.
Good morning.
Feels like I haven't gotten to talk to you in a while.
Should I come back, please?
Yeah, if you would. All righty. In the couple of minutes just before we get up and going, now is the best time for topics, if you have them. What topics do we have? I figure that Elizabeth, Cynthia, Blossom have been, I think there's a few open PRs, but some of the work that each of you have been doing, you might want to review and just let you demo, get some feedback on it. For Elizabeth and it's just Elizabeth, think about it. If there's a pull request, either that's still open or one that's been closed recently, that maybe you want to talk about, show, demo the work that's been done and talk about it. And I'm going to mute you just because, but feel free to come off mute when you've got something to say. Otherwise your keyboarding will be in our ears. Thankfully, it's not like Nikhil's keyboard. I mean, Nikhil's keyboard, that thing is like mechanical. It's not like the cherry reds or anything. It's like the blueberries. I don't know what kind of key switch is there.
I would like not to comment on
Oh boy. All right. Who else has topics? So we've got a couple of large upgrade to Gatsby v3. Okay. That's a great. We've got a couple of large decent sized topics. Some of which are head scratchers for us. So actually let me stop and maybe start the meeting because I think those that rewatch the recording, it's kind of odd when we just sort of slowly drift into it. So welcome everyone to the website's call. What is it, Monday the 26th? KubeCon coming up in a week and a half, I think. Nice to have Blossom and Aditya, Elizabeth, Josh, Mert, Nikhil, Tanuj, Yash. We just lost Abhishek, but he'll be back with webcam. So let's get going. If you're on the call and don't have your name in the meeting minutes, please drop it in. And if you've got a topic to discuss today, please drop that in as well. And so it's Cynthia and Blossom. Maybe I'll put your gals, I was gonna say your guys's. I guess that just goes to show how much I use that phrase, your guys. but we'll put your names under the open PRs and maybe the recently closed PRs as well. I figured it would be nice to look at some of the stuff that you all have been doing. Blossom or Cynthia, do you have a specific item that you want to chat through today?
Yeah, I think an open PR. Hello, everyone.
Oh. PR, the one on the event improvement, or?
No, the
Ooh.
one meets the maintainer, Josh.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Oh, it's Blossom that's talking, not Elizabeth. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I'm mostly done with this. Though there was an ending tagline that recently got added, and I was to add to the pull request. So I made that pull request. But now it's telling me there's a merge conflict with the files, and pulling from master, I can't see a merge conflict. So that is something I am currently working on. So that check is not passing. Yeah. So
a couple. Oh, good. I'm glad you brought this up, because there's kind of two things that I think that most of us could use either a reminder of or just additional practice on, including myself. So a couple things. This little guy, this check here, this DCO, this Developer Certificate of Origin. So quick history, quick, like extraordinarily brief on this particular subject, because less about the legalese or the copyrights or the other things, less about the purpose for it, but maybe more about the mechanics by which this particular bot works. So this bot is enabled across the Layer5 IO GitHub org. And it's like that because we need this certificate of, we need this sign off on most of the repositories, like the majority of the repositories, because those projects, there's many of the projects we intend to donate to the CNCF. As a matter of fact, 2 of them are up for review tomorrow. So, and that helps with the process, the flow, this particular site, this particular repo for Layer5 IO. It's like, well, that's good hygiene for us to have it there, and we, for the most part, desire for these signups to be there. We really, we want for that. But I would say it's also, it's less of a concern for this particular repo. And so occasionally we'll manually flag as a pass, particularly in the event that there have been contributors, or that it's a long-standing contributor, and they're well-intentioned, they've signed off on many other occasions, but a lot of times what will happen for the DCO is that someone will edit something in the GitHub UI, and the GitHub UI doesn't, like, confoundingly doesn't support sign-offs, even though you're logged in as you, and it knows what your sign-off is and all that, but it doesn't do it. Anyway, it's been a long-standing request for GitHub to change that. And so in this particular item is something that we might be able to, that on occasion we'll manually flag as passing. You all have probably all seen this explicit instructions for how to add sign off on a one-off basis, like explicitly for this commit here, by executing this command and executing this command. And then I think Blossom has this. Blossom, do you have your IDE, your developer environment? It is configured to auto sign off, or always amend to sign off?
it is. So this is, yeah. And
Yeah.
I've even used this command when I saw that even the sign off. when I X was in passing, I used this command too in case the auto sign off didn't register, but I noticed that I was still getting the error. So I assumed that it was something from the merge conflict that was probably stopping it or something like that.
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah.
I'm a bit confused. I think that's something I need to discuss with Chimney or Josh. Pulling from the master, the styles are kind of the same. There's no merge conflict when I pull from the remote branch. So I want to know if it's possible that there's some other branch that has this style changed and it's probably showing this error. Yeah, because this changes when I try to pull from the remote origin.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're hitting it on the head. That was what I was wondering if was happening is that it's um, what do you use for an IDE?
I use
For your
VS Code.
okay.
Me too.
Do you mind? Did you mind sharing, Blossom, and we might walk through right-siding this issue?
Well, that might take a minute. I'm joining this call through my mobile.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yep. No.
Please, sorry, I need to add something to this topic. Sometimes I run Emacs and VS Code both at the same time, and while I fix some commits uh, which I pull from the GitHub, it seems like that. It's maybe it's about an Emacs bug, maybe VS Code bug, uh, but kind of that, yes. I fixed the issue on a GitHub page, GitHub web page. That's my solution.
And merge, are you referring to the merge conflict or to the sign off?
Yes, yes. The sign of issue and the merge conflict, both.
Oh.
The symbols that we see is related with merge conflict, as I guess. When we have merge conflict, like an additional folder, directory, etc., we see that it happens the merge conflict, and we cannot push the stuff, and which is why we see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Blossom, you think? Yeah, merge. That makes sense. And Blossom, I think that likely you're right that between the upstream origin, which is this repo, your fork in your user account, and then your local clone on your laptop, that yeah, there may be yep, that fork might be out of date potentially. Sounds like that you're aware of that. I mean, obviously you're aware of that flow and to kind of resync and things, but in this case, it might not. It sounds like that flow isn't quite working.
Yeah, I think you are right. I think that there's been an update that that's probably not been registered on the forked version of this repo.
Right. On this subject, I'm curious if I'm curious for everyone here if the instructions about how to sync your fork have been helpful in here, because I don't know, or we haven't had a lot of people commenting. And actually, this says the general flow, but I don't know that this particular contributing talks about in your fork. The one in Meshery does, so this is the Meshery repo. And it actually has a second, like one that is referred to as Git, we call it Git flow. But the second contributing, it's working by forking. And it's like, it sort of walks through that process of synchronizing your fork. So Blossom, I'm saying this as if this isn't new to you. Like I know that the concept is familiar to you. And I don't know if I'm pointing out these particular instructions because maybe these will be helpful in that regard. I'm not sure. I'll put a link to these in the chat though, to the extent that this is at all different than what you might already be doing. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'll look into that. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If you don't get it, yeah, please do message in the. I mean, if these instructions don't do it for you, then we shouldn't have you spend a bunch of time trying to figure it out because it's not that big of a thing. We should just go correct the merge conflict. As a matter of fact, I think, were you saying you don't actually have any intended changes in that CSS file anyway?
Yes, I didn't work on the blog style GS file. There was no changes I made to it, so it shouldn't even be having an error.
Cool. Okay. Yep. There you go. So yeah, that is kind of a weird, an oddity, like you're saying. Kind of a, okay. All right. So that's Blossom's PR. Elizabeth or Cynthia, would either one of you like to talk about one of your open PRs?
Hey, hello everyone. Can anyone hear me?
From the people because with their own
Hello.
you know what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily how I thought it was real like
Can anyone hear me?
it's not going
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I currently have I have about two PRs. The first one is the event improvements, which I kind of got confused and I've been able to like resolve it. Just one or two things before I just push it. The other one is the community form. Excuse me, please. The other one is the community form, which so I was working with oh my god, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name well, but Vina. I was working alongside what?
Nikhil, maybe? Yeah,
no, not Nikhil.
Vinayak.
Yes, Vinayak. Okay. So I was working alongside Vinayak to like complete the whole flow and everything. So currently I'm almost done with some of the stuff, some of the notes that Nikki noted, except the responsiveness. I'm still quite having some issues with that. So I think that's just it. And then there are some other things that like I'm quite confused on, like trying to like get the form data, connecting it to the backend. I really don't know how to go about that yet, but I'm sure that like once I'm done with every other thing, I'm going to be talking with Nikki to like put me through on what to do about that and how to go about that actually. I'm quite like, I really don't know how like the backend syncs together. Yeah. So like that's just like the kind of like confusion for me. So I was hoping to like talk to Nikki or probably Vinayak, since it's the one I'm working with. But he actually told me he's ill and stuff. So I've not been able to like, I've not communicated with him for a while. So yeah, I think that's just it for me. I'm almost done with some of the things that are here for me to do.
Yeah, on the form data and the processing of it, yeah, if I would say it's enough trouble just to get the front end flowing, and that for the most part, I think the form data is being handled. But if that interests you, there's a system that we can introduce you to that that processes the form data and sends emails and things.
Oh, okay.
There is, let me share my whole desktop, because on this web form, unfortunately, I don't think it's been, there's some changes that have been made, and I don't know that this is quite what's needed. So on, everyone can see this Figma mockup. If you can't, you'll say something.
Yeah, we
So
can see.
cool. Just a couple of things. I guess Austin, since you're on, a couple of items. One, the logo is, the aspect ratio here is skewed, so that's a big fat no-no. Austin, there's a difference between, I guess there's a button that's on the web form, which is probably a lot nicer than having a URL. So let's change this URL to the button. Austin, I think we're demonstrating here that this would show in red if there's a required field that's not filled in. But can you take a moment to annotate, like the fact that just annotate and describe off in a text box off to the either side what you expect to happen? Also, this particular field is not required. GitHub is not required. Also, it's capital H. And so picture is not required either. Just these first three. Austin, does that make sense?
Oh, yes, yes. But the button that's up, it doesn't work. I was going to talk to Vinayak about it, but he's not been available.
Yep, he's not available. I don't know what, I actually missed what you said. You said something doesn't work, but actually it doesn't matter. Don't repeat it.
No, the button.
Okay, it doesn't matter, because that's not what I'm concerned with. What I'm concerned with is the design right here that people are trying to implement, that it needs to be better described. There were also, I don't think you and I have spoken about this. I think I spoke with Vinayak about it, and that is that we should clarify what it is that we want people to put in here. And it's either the full URL or it's just the handle. Otherwise, we're going to get a mix of both. And so we should have we should have the full URL. And then we should validate for the fact that it matches HTTPS github.com. Like it should always match that. Same for Twitter and LinkedIn. Does that make sense?
All right.
Okay, cool.
Yes, yes.
Over here. So if everyone will think about this for a moment, I'm a little bit of two minds about whether or not to have a third button as a passively participant. So one is as a contributor, that's absolutely wrong. It's a developer, because what you're implying is that users aren't contributing, and that's horrible. It's not all about code. And so, I don't know, think about this if you would for a minute, everybody. So I'm a developer, and then I had hoped that, Austin, you would have moved these back to where they were originally, which is to help clarify the flow a little bit, that ideally they're following what's really just two parallel paths, which is why I'd had them in parallel before. Here, And I also had them with actual arrows so that people know directionally where they're going. So yeah, if you could put those back, that would be good. Directionally, that they're splitting out, going either if they're a user, they're being introduced to the projects. Maybe they're flagging what tutorial they might like to have, what projects are of interest to them. This is wrong, and I'm not sure how this. Yeah, I think it was Vinaya could put this in well intended from an older version of the community forum. And what we found here with this question about whether or not someone wants a meshmate is to stop asking them, because the vast majority of people will say yes, they do, and then we'll introduce them to a meshmate and they don't follow up, they never respond, and it's kind of a waste of time. It's tough on the meshmate. It's a waste of the community manager's time. And so instead what we've done is change the language to just say there is such a program, you're most welcome to participate, review the meshmates, identify the one that you want, or if you can't identify one, reach out to them, reach out in the newcomers channel. So there's language that describes that, and it should be described already. And it was over here. Here it is. Let's see, this I think is, yeah, I think this was, it looks like there's been some changes to this. So, Austin, I think this was supposed to be consolidated to here. There probably isn't the third step then. Austin, do you recall making these changes to this third step? Or am I,
Yeah, I made a third step with regards to the comments that were dropped.
Okay.
Comments that were dropped. That was what we used to make the changes for both the parts. The user we changed standard by to wasn't it the copy we used UX.
Okay, thanks. That's not really what I'm asking about, like the third step. But so if you can, just you'll need to rework this quickly so that Elizabeth can make sure that she's got the right flow. So it'll be, this won't be the fourth step, but rather the third step, and then this final one. And hopefully we're telling people, well, this is fine, except, and we're finally directing them somewhere. That's good. Since we tell them to join the community Slack so many times already at the top of each page, there's a better use of this button, and that would be the community handbook that is being written. Eventually, this will be published on the site, and so you can direct people there. So we have, this is a bit inconsistent. So we have punctuation, punctuation, and then none. And it seems like this would be the exclamation mark, if any, because that's what's exciting. That's what we're pleased about. It might be more of a message of like, welcome to the community, or we're pleased to have you as a member. While you await resources, please see these resources here. And like, I realize the phrasing can be a little tough. So, and Austin, maybe I shouldn't be directing that at you, but I'll take a note here to fill this in. If anyone else has suggestions. But good, so Elizabeth, that'll help hopefully a bit with some of what's going on here. I think for the most part, Elizabeth, that won't, it'll just be a little bit of a shuffling around of the questions.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah, this is other than what we just talked about in Figma. I think that's it. I think we're complete. There'll only be one holdup after this, and that will just be if we have a link to the community handbook. For now, the link would be to a Google Doc. Eventually, that would be to a set of web pages. Cool.
Yeah, noted.
Nice. And then Cynthia, or whomever we didn't cover.
Hi. Yes, we can hear you.
So I have two unmerged PRs. For the first one, that's to add a beacon when you over an internship cards. So I think I must have gotten the instruction wrong. It was supposed to transition in from the right, but I only made it to be on over, so I'm correcting that.
Okay.
So hopefully before today ends. But the other one, I think I'm done with what I'm supposed to do for the second one. As for Meshri, I'm done with that.
Okay. In Meshri's UI.
Yes. Meshri.io, not this. Not
Oh, I
this
see.
one.
Cool. So on this one, we're going to add Layer5 as the creator of Meshri down in the footer. And Austin, did you produce another mock-up of this?
Okay, not yet. I've been working on the header, the hero section instead. I'm done with about 5 different iterations of the hero. So after that, I'll proceed to creating new mystery footer.
Okay, you know what? It's actually, I don't want a new Meshri footer, just wanted the placement of this. And so let me give, Cynthia, let me give you this feedback. And
Okay,
that is,
if the only that, then I tried horizontal, but I don't know if that works yet. So I'll make a second or third iteration, then I'll give feedback.
okay, can you get that done today? So we can.
Yes.
Thank you. It's just that this is, so we're too many layers deep. We're 4 layers deep by the time that this hits. And there's 3 things centered on top of each other, and this is super tiny. Also, like, to be really picky about it, which is important to be. It is, well, there's a couple of versions of this. And I think this is a padded one. And so using one that has no trim, there's a version that says no trim on it. That's probably a better fit. It'll just probably feel better if this particular design is kept. And so Austin might change it though. I'm not sure. So, but yeah, just to be aware of. But other than that, so something else for all of us to consider is, well, hey, if we list out that it's created by Layer5 down here, I don't know, there's this section here that says created by Layer5 and it's used by these. So is that duplicative? I mean, it is duplicative, but is it too much? Is this too bold? I don't know. I'd be curious about everyone's thoughts as you look at other CNCF projects. Oh, well, speaking of Ericsson, there's Ericsson right there. As you look at other CNCF projects, like these sandbox projects. It's a good example. I don't know if these are good examples or not, but let's see. So backstage. Spotify. Spotify Eng. Open source at Spotify, Spotify engineering. Okay, that's one example. But it would be good to look through these others. So who's using it? All right. Now, PingCap is actually the one that created it, but you wouldn't know that from looking at this. So you keep going. Chaos Meshes, they've got. Yeah, they actually, I don't think they actually say it explicitly. So yeah. Multi-stage delivery. So here's who it's used by. Initially created by Dynatrace. I don't know, it's good to get a, so this one was created by Kong. This one was created by D2IQ. So it's used by D2IQ, maintained by good people. What makes a good person? If you don't contribute to Kudo, are you not a good person? Is that what they're implying? So this one was created by DataWire. Anyway, good to get a sense of how others have done it, how in your face it is versus not.
Lee, I'm sorry, but I gotta go. Talk to you later. I need to go. Talk to you later.
Mert, I can't understand what you're saying.
I need to go because I have a meeting.
Oh, okay.
See you later.
Oh, okay. Yep. Talk to you soon. Nice to see you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right, we kind of got distracted. So good. So Josh and Abhishek, the website that's being built for Discuss, it's having this error. So any one of you that have gone to discuss.layer5.io, if you try to make a comment with a picture or create a new thread with a picture, it seems that you're not able to, even though you might have a valid picture. And so that's causing a lot of grief because a lot of times people want to upload screenshots. But Josh, thanks for taking that screenshot. But Josh, that's actually what I meant was on the back end. Do you have a log of what's occurring on the back end? So there's a 422 post error. And so I think just in looking over the issue, to me, it seems like because the Discuss folks on their support threads say they haven't seen this issue before. It seems like maybe there's a lack of compatibility with the operating system that's running it, or the libraries that are on the OS to be able to do image manipulation. So Abhishek, do you recall this is deployed in a Docker container, but the host is, I'm assuming, AWS Linux?
I think it's sent to us.
Yeah, I wonder if that's an issue, or I wonder if
No,
that's
it's Ubuntu. What's it?
far-fetched that that's the issue then, just because of how pervasive Ubuntu is.
Can't get your voice clearly. Can you come again? The last statement.
Yeah, it seems like so the guys that discussed they say they haven't seen this error before, and a lot of times image manipulation libraries will have compatibility issues with the operating system, or a lack of libraries, or the wrong versions of libraries, and so my thought was maybe there's, even though this is deployed in a Docker container, maybe there's an issue with the underlying operating system. And so that's a point of inspection. Like, do we have the same issue if we deploy Discuss into a different OS? If you're using Ubuntu and you're sure, then maybe that's not worth investigating, because Ubuntu is pervasively deployed and
Yeah,
would be
it's the recommended one that they've mentioned on the website. So it is Ubuntu. I mean,
okay.
it's not something. I was suspecting. Yes.
So the issue is like you cannot upload anything apart from SVG. Like PNG is not getting uploaded, or JPEG, but SVGs can be uploaded. So is there anything related to configuration regarding support for some file or something? Like on the backend part, because on the front end, like on the portal, I've seen there is nothing I've left untouched, and that can be done to make it work.
Okay.
You can upload an SVG or not, Lee?
No, oops. I couldn't upload a PNG or a JPEG. An SVG. Looks like that's working.
Actually, I suspected that it could be a memory issue. Like the storage is right now it's inside the container. So
Yeah, that we looked. Yeah, it's a great thought. We looked at the disk space, wondering if when
I
you say
didn't have.
memory.
We've got like 2 gigs free, and that's probably a like a validation from the application that if it's below 2 gigs it won't upload or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's a good. Could be. A devious comment. I'm half expecting some sarcasm to come through. But Abhishek, that sounds like a likely culprit as well. Memory, lack of memory. That's a good. Cool. Oh, well, okay. So then the reason that we're discussing Layer5.io is because we're almost done. It's there's a couple outside of a couple of configuration items on the back end. I mean, there's one about email, there's one about HTTPS, and there's one about JPEG. I think those are the 3 sort of sysadmin related, operations related issues with the site that need to be addressed. So Abhishek has at least one of those, the image one, think I've got the email one because I've tried 15 different ways to do, to not have Abhishek's name come through. And I don't think it's going to happen other than just buying another account. So we'll probably do that. What did I just say? Images, email, and HTTPS. So the let's encrypt. Where did you end up stopping on that previously, Abhishek?
I was trying to set up Let's Encrypt inside the host machine. It was giving some issues, I guess. Basically, it was giving some dependency issues on Ubuntu. I was checking on that. Uh, Before we move into that, are we good with this setup? Because we did not separate database and everything. So if we are going to go live, then we can't go with this setup.
So like we are going to have a different different deployment, right? Like this is just for testing purpose. So
yeah.
Agreed. And I think we're probably like Abhishek, if you can lead the way, I think we're probably ready to start rolling out that infrastructure, like a new, a separate space in RDS for this Postgres database. And if there are other considerations, I don't know that we need to go all out with Elasticache or dedicated load balancer and all that. Like it's really not going to see that much traffic yet. We do want for it to be stable. It just doesn't need to have that much capacity. I think that's the difference.
Got it. Yes, I'll look into it.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, I think whenever you're as and when you start, like where there's no need to review, like it's in your hands. And so, yeah, let's deploy or let's like when we released Layer5 IO, it really needed to be timed. We needed to be ready. We need to be able to flip the switch on all the things, and all the things needed to work. And in this case, nope, let's just start. Like we just need to get the prod deployment going, switch out the, do all the things we need to do around DNS and things. And the content can be migrated over, the content being the configuration that Josh has. So Josh can do that portion. Josh, I think for your part, there might be a few like small items, but the biggest one is this coloring, like here.
yeah, I remember you said those things, but like I was a bit busy with my school assignments, so like I'll do that as soon as I get time, and I'll assign those things to uh, Aditya or Blossom or someone.
Sounds good. I think that's it. Yeah, then the font.
Yeah, the font is also an headache similar to the image one, cause I like like I've uploaded the asset and I've made the URL and all, but it's not like it's not picking up the font from an uploaded like a local font. I don't know what's the issue, but I'll still look into it more. So like is anyone having any experience with like using local fonts on a very big scale? Then they might have you some help.
Josh, do you know, is it like, is there anywhere on the site that you've been able to get that font working?
No, the thing is like it's not picking it up from the asset, local asset. Like there's an so there are two like there's an way where you can upload images or other assets, and then you can just use those in your CSS or HTML files wherever you need. So the upload works fine, and you also import, and like all those things work fine, but it does not get picked up by the CSS, or like it does not get imported. So that's, and the thing is we don't find any issue. I don't find any error in the console as well for that. So I need to get some find. I need to find some reason what's happening.
So the font is publicly available. That the URL to where you've uploaded it, you're able to access it publicly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, but
Well,
I think I can so I've seen those the same things that I've done on someone else forum, and like they have claimed that it works for them. So like I think I'll be able to do that soon.
cool. Okay. Well, with any luck, it might be about this time next week that we're on a prod deployment, that we've migrated stuff over, that maybe we've got one or two issues left, but it might be that we're also deployed, that we're also like that we start. Aditya and I talked a little bit yesterday about seeding some content and getting some discussions going, getting some, making it a little lively. And that would probably require some assistance from everybody here. But good. Anything else on Discuss?
I had this idea. So what if we can implement this in the right side? It's pretty empty below the latest tags. In the main page, discuss.layer5.io. It's kind of empty in my opinion below the latest. Yeah. So what if we can implement Twitter or any feed kind of thing for that, so that along with the people who come to discuss, they can have a look at our feed also.
Any feedback on Josh's comment there?
I think it can be added. In favor.
Nikhil, you're in favor of potentially having either a Twitter feed, something else there, like a Twitter feed or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I log out, I think the issue gets a little bit worse, or gets a little more exaggerated, because it's not, there's more white space. So yeah, and if you think about it, if we add Meshery, SMP, Landscape, Get Nighthawk, Image Hub, such and such, like it could get fairly barren. So we should do something. I'll leave it to you guys to figure out what makes the most sense. All right. Unbelievably, I can't believe we didn't bring this up earlier in the conversation, but there's a big initiative around Learn Layer 5. I'm gonna skip to this for a moment, because this is it's a big deal, and it's less like on the Discuss effort. I feel bad about the Discuss effort a little bit, because it's like, hey, all of us are sitting here looking at it, talking about it, except it's kind of like, well, there's only 3 or 4 people at a time that can work on it, because it's not that big of a thing, and it's not like you're checking in code and you can, it's like it's a configuration management system. So I'm not even really sure, like if I go in, if I sign in, am I going to overwrite some changes that Josh is doing because he's working on it separately, and then he didn't know that it's like not set up for that kind of a thing. So I feel bad that we all talk about this as long as we are, but it is important to everyone, and I do expect everyone to be able to participate and ask questions and learn. And some of those things are like maybe, it's an open question, like, do we need a category that's for newcomers, or for whether it's newcomers or just contributing, like questions around contributing. Like I was trying to, what's this DCO thing, and why am I having to sign off? Like, what does that mean? Like, maybe we need a section for that. Maybe we we don't, I don't know, but it's a good question for us to ask ourselves. And there's something for all of you to participate in there about, like Asuko that's on the call now. Well, one, he may want to announce the latest Meshery release on here. Like, hey, how would he do an announcement of a Meshery release? Well, it's a good question, Asuko. I think you should go play around in here and do some fake announcements and see what, because this is just a practice area. So anyone who wants admin privileges, say so. You should get admin privileges to this. You should go learn, go try some stuff, help us make it awesome. Later, when we move to prod, we should, everyone, including me, we should pull back all the accounts and we should say, who would like, I mean, everyone should get a regular account, but, and including me, like, should I retain moderator privileges or not? And it's just like being a maintainer of any of the other projects. It's like, well, if Lee's going to be a moderator, there's an implicit expectation that, like, I'm actually doing some moderating. Like, I'm occasionally coming in and making sure that no one's swearing at someone else, no one's being, a jerk. Also, that when people are asking questions, like, oh, even if I don't have the answer, like if I have the answer, great, try to help people. But even if I don't, maybe try to go find Asuko because he has all the answers, and then bring him over and say, hey, can you take a look at this? And so, but it's also for something like, well, so Asuko's clearly on my mind. So Asuko's writing up this air-gapped deployment, this proposal for how to do something specific with Meshery. And when he's done, it'll go into Meshery docs, but would it hurt to mention it here as well? Probably not. Like, no, it would be additive. It would help. People might come here looking for that. And so, okay, well, if he's going to post something that's fairly long-lived, like a set of instructions about how to do a specific Meshery deployment, clearly we want for the canonical writing of that to be in Meshery docs, but having a subsequent mentioning of it here, and even maybe of even a copy and paste of it here is probably fine. But okay, if that's not a thread, that's more like or it would be a long-lived thread. It might be something that we would want to pin to the top of the category. Well, do we have any like rules around what should be pinned and for how long, and from whom? And okay, well, what if someone wants to put out a message like an announcement to a Meshery release? Should that be from someone's user account, or should that be from some generic community manager, community moderator account that's faceless? I think there's pros and cons to both sides of that particular question. I think that I really enjoy the fact that when Asuko puts in work to write up the announcement, that he himself as Asuko Lee benefits from the recognition of his work. That's very important to me. And so I like that personal affiliation. Like, this guy is kicking butt. He's doing a lot of good things, this contributor. And so should the accolades for that work be attributed directly to him. I can see how, okay, that's good. The flip side of it is if it is an individual, well, that can have the sense that it's a very tiny little project. There's like 2 people working on it, and so it's between these 2 people that you'll see these announcements from. And if they quit, then the whole thing falls over, and it's not robust. It isn't. And so there's, some psychology that goes along with this. So for my part, I would lean into the former of attributing credit and recognition to those that put in the work. So food for thought. Okay, what we were trying to get to is, so we do want to do a postmortem on Gatsby v3. We're just out of time though. Like writing that, actually a detail, if you can write this up, that would be helpful. Just like what kind of how we went along and where we missed in the process. Only, you don't have to, it's not about names or anything. It's just about like what do we do when V4 comes out? How do we make sure, like what testing, you know,
Okay, got
whatever.
it.
Yeah. So on this, thank you so much to Nuj for putting this design spec here, this link. This is where I won't feel bad for all of us, because this is some work, and it's I don't think it's that much. Well, it'll go for a while, but we can have a release of it fairly relatively early. Is Chinmay on the call? Okay, someone will have to poke at him for not being on the call. But and it's not just Chinmay that's you know, working toward this. So actually, Vinayak was going to be spending quite a bit of time here, Tanuj and Nikhil, like you know, all of us. But I'm mentioning a couple of these people because they were going to try to help organize the effort. I shouldn't say they were. I'm mostly referring to Vinayak. Vinayak has COVID at the moment, and so he's recovering. I think his no, it's not his mom. That's Soham. But so he'll be, no doubt he'll be back. He's a young, strong guy. I'm sure he'll be back, but he's taking a break right now, recovering. And so, and he wants for us to move this effort forward in the meantime. And hopefully we'll have figured out kind of, there's like one big question, and it's right here. I'm not going to describe this because it will take longer than we have, but instead I will ask for those that have pondered these two prototypes, has anyone been able to advance and evaluate either of these two directions so that we can make a decision?
For me, the first approach, it may be possible, but it's first we have to try it out. I haven't been able to try it out because I'm busy with college assignments. But it may work, but I'm not 100% confident. 100% confident.
Got you. Anyone else have been able to either give this additional thought or try it out?
I haven't tried, but I will try this today. I guess I'm free for this week, so I can try that out.
Yeah. I take I take heed of Tanuj's hesitancy in terms of his confidence toward number one really working out for us. But at the same time, I'll keep my fingers crossed that the first approach works. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. But the benefit of the first approach is that it'll just feel like the same. It won't just feel like the same site. It will be the same site. It's the difference, really. It's the difference between, is the site layer5.io/learn or something like that, but or is it learn.layer5.io? That's kind of the difference. Is it a separate site or is it of the same site? And so, all right, we're 4 minutes after. Other thoughts?
The main difference, what I think among both of them, is the effort required to set up both of them. Because, like for the first one, I think lesser effort would be required because we have the main site ready and most of the components can be reused. We only need to add links here and there or modify them. But if we like use a separate subdomain, then a lot of things need to be redone, I guess, and they have to be reloaded, which might take time or might not, considering we might copy paste the components itself. Since we have managed the new site very well based on the component basis, they are separated out nice. So that might not be an issue, but still, I think.
Yep.
But the issue with the Gatsby node there is something which I've not yet seen, like the one which was mentioned by Tanj. That is something which has to be explored, and if Aditya is successful with that, then I think we should follow the first one.
This is yep, Nikhil, I agree with you. It's sort of you could I think you could I think it's kind of a wash between the two in terms of the amount of work, because it's work one way for this, it's work a different way for, and yeah, hard to know which is more, but there's work involved either way, and I don't know that we'll go wrong either way, or that like either way is like we're going to be successful either of the two. Okay. Well, anybody have anything else? Let me take a small note here. Let's see. Cool. Okay. Just leave this there. Aditya, we'll just expect big things this week. Okay.
Hey, one thing just I would like to add is in the discuss.layer5.f footer, the items, the sublist items are also using the Canada stuff. I think that should be open.
Yeah, that pains Josh for you to say that. Yeah. Josh.
Can you just repeat, Nikhil?
The sub items that is within resources like service mesh, feature comparison, or that those are also using Canada stock font instead of open.
The thing is, no font is using Canela Soft currently. So like it just shows the name as Canela Soft, but it uses Open Sans.
But comparing with the current footer, I think
Is it Canela Soft?
Like comparing the font, it looks similar.
No, in the current footer, it's Open Sans as well. It's only for the headings. It's used Canela Soft in the current layer 5 to tire footer.
Like if I open both of the sides side by side and compare them, it looks same to me.
Yeah, because in the current layer 5 website, the menu sub items are also using Open Sans. Only the menu headings are using Canela Soft.
Yes, I'm comparing the menu headings.
Oh, no, I think I saw the difference by the J. If you look into the projects, the J is different, and from there I could figure out the difference.
Might be because the font weight is more for this.
And Nikhil, if I remember correctly, you have installed Canela Soft locally, so.
Oh, that is another issue. That might be a difference. Okay. Yeah, probably that might be the cause. I'm seeing the font correctly.
The header still an issue on Discuss, or is it showing Canela's?
The thing is, like, I have the fonts installed locally, so it's coming same for me. But those who don't have installed, it might be different for them.
Okay, so like so that's something we need to explore. Like those who have it installed, so like they pick it up from the class name itself.
Yeah, those who have installed locally, they will pick up the local font if the name matches.
Okay.
Like just now I reduced the font weight for the Discuss site, and it is same for both the photos.
So there are a few limitations. There like the font width also, like the paragraph below layer 5 logo. So I have kept the minimum font with weight for the discuss.layer5.io, but it does not go similar to the one we have on layer5.io. So like I don't find any solution. So there are a few limitations for the CSS styling as well that we cannot go beyond. Like the paragraph is slightly bolder than that present in layer5.io. If you can scroll down, Lee. Yeah.
What a pain. What a pain. Yeah. Okay. Catch everybody next week.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you all. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye,
Guys.
man.